A very good morning, students. Welcome to e-learning classes of Sacred Hearts. In 17th lecture, we are going to discuss about demand function of 5th chapter, that is theory of demand. The very first topic, that is demand function, or we can say it determinants of demand. Dear students, demand function is a function shows the relationship between demand for a commodity and its various determining factor. It shows how demand for a commodity is related to its own price of the commodity or income of the consumer or other determinants. Not only the price, dear students, but there are a lot of other factors as well which affect the demand for a commodity. So in this topic we are going to discuss each and every element that is affecting demand for a commodity. So if we talk about the types of demand function, so dear students, there are two types of demand function: individual demand function and market demand function. Let us discuss them one by one. Individual demand function, as the name is signifying individual, that means we are studying about the demand and affecting factors of a single consumer. Let us see over here. Individual demand function shows how demand for a commodity by an individual consumer in the market is related to its own various determinants. That means demand by a consumer and its determining factor. ठीक है. In this concept, we used to take only one consumer in the consideration out of complete market or out of complete available consumer. A lot of consumers are there for commodity, but out of all those consumers we are selecting a single consumer, and when we used to study about the demand of that single consumer and determining factor, that is known as individual demand function. Dear student, individual demand function is expressed as dx, that is the demand for x, is equals to f, that is the function, in the brackets px, that is the price of x commodity, thereafter comma pr, thereafter y, t and e. We are going to discuss each and every element in deep. Let us start. The very first, that is the own price of the commodity and denoted by px. When other things being equal or constant, there is always an inverse relationship between price of a commodity and its demand. As soon as the price of a commodity used to increase, we used to decrease its demand. जैसे ही किसी commodity की price increase होती है, ये human common behavior है कि हम उसकी demand को क्या करते हैं, decrease करते हैं. And as soon as the prices of the commodity decreases, जैसे ही किसी commodity की price decrease होती है, हम उसकी demand को क्या करते हैं बेटा, increase करते हैं. And generally it is known as law of demand. Now the second one, that is the price of related goods and denoted by PR. So dear students, related goods are of two types: substitute goods and complementary goods. What are substitute goods? These are the goods which can be substituted for each other. That means which can be used in place of each other. For example, tea and coffee. For example, ball pen, gel pen. These are the commodities that we can use in place of each other. Increase in the price of one causes increase in the demand for other. As soon as the price of tea will increase, the demand for the coffee will also increase, and vice versa. What is the meaning of vice versa? That means just opposite of this concept. So in this condition, when the price of one commodity will decrease, अगर टी की प्राइस डिक्रीज होगी तो कॉफ़ी की डिमांड भी डिक्रीज होगी. वाई? बिकॉज नाउ मैनी ऑफ द कंज्यूमर विल स्टार्ट कंज्यूमिंग द टी अगेन. ठीक है. सो दिस इज अबाउट द सब्स्टिट्यूट गुड्स. नाउ द सेकेंड रिलेटेड गुड इज द कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री गुड्स. एज द नेम इज सिग्निफाइंग कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री, दैट इज कंप्लीटिंग गुड्स, द गुड्स विच आर डिमांडेड टुगेदर. ऐसे गुड्स जिनको हम लोग एक साथ क्या करते हैं, डिमांड करते हैं, एंड विदाउट वन गुड देयर इज नो वैल्यू ऑफ अदर गुड. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, कार एंड पेट्रोल. If we are having car but we are not having petrol, it is useless. If we are having only petrol but not car, then it is also useless. When it is beneficial, when we are having the combination of car and petrol. So these are the example of complementary good. A fall in the price of one. As soon as the price of one, that means car will increases, as soon as the price of car will decreases, the demand for the petrol obviously it will increase, and vice versa. As soon as the price of the car will increase, ultimately the demand for the petrol will also decrease. So there is inverse relation. One factor is increasing and other factor is decreasing. See a difference between complementary and substitute goods. Initially in the first point they have given the definition. Substitute goods are those goods which can be interchanged for each other, and complementary is demanded together. Second, when price of a substitute good increases, demand for a given good rises and vice versa. रिलेशन दे रखा है. when price of a complementary good increase, एक complementary good का price increase होगा तो डिमांड फॉर अदर गुड डिक्रीज. जैसे ही कार के प्राइस बढ़ जाएंगे हम लोग पेट्रोल का कंजम्पशन क्या कर देंगे, कम कर देंगे. एंड देयर आफ्टर इन द थर्ड इन द लास्ट वन द एग्जांपल्स आर गिवन फॉर सब्स्टिट्यूट गुड्स टी एंड कॉफ़ी, पेप्सी, कोक, बॉल पेन, इंक पेन एंड सो ऑन. इफ़ यू टॉक अबाउट द कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री गुड्स, पेन, इंक, ब्रेड, बटर, कार, पेट्रोल एंड सो ऑन. So this is about the second point, that is the price of related goods. Now the third one, income of the consumer. If we talk about the income of the consumer, then on the basis of income, the goods are divided into two parts, normal goods and inferior goods. The demand for normal goods tends to increase with the increase in income and vice versa. When income of the consumer will increase, the demand for the normal or the good quality good, we can say, good quality good will also increase. And if the income of the consumer will decrease, the demand for the good quality good will also decrease. तो कैसा relation है बेटा, positive relation है. But if we talk about the inferior goods, the demand for inferior goods like coarse grain क्या हो गया, जिसको हम लोग हिंदी में बोलते हैं बेटा मोटा अनाज, जैसे मक्का हो गया, बाजरा, ज्वार, है ना, टेंड्स टू डिक्रीज विद इंक्रीज इन इनकम. जैसे ही कंज्यूमर की इनकम इंक्रीज होगी तो कंज्यूमर इन कॉर्स ग्रेन्स का, जिनको हम लोग इन्फीरियर गुड बोलते हैं, जिनको हम लोग बोलते हैं लो क्वालिटी गुड्स, इसको ईजिली समझने के लिए हम लोग बोल सकते हैं लो क्वालिटी गुड्स. तो जो लो क्वालिटी गुड्स हैं उनकी डिमांड क्या हो जाएगी बेटा, डिक्रीज होगी. एंड एज सुन एज द इनकम विल डिक्रीज, तो वी विल कंज्यूम मोर एंड मोर लो क्वालिटी गुड्स. See the difference between the normal goods and the inferior goods. Initially the definition is given, thereafter the income effect is told in the second point. Income effect of normal good is positive. As income will increase, the consumption of normal good will also increase. And if we talk about the inferior good, then it is negative. As soon as income will increase, the demand for the inferior good will decrease. Third point, नॉर्मल गुड्स मे और मे नॉट बी द इसेंशियल फॉर लाइफ. ठीक है, अगर हम लोग नॉर्मल गुड्स की बात करें तो वो इसेंशियल हो सकते हैं और इसेंशियल नहीं भी हो सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ़ यू टेक द एग्जांपल ऑफ एसी, इट कम्स अंडर द कैटेगरी ऑफ इसेंशियल गुड. इट comes under the category of normal good, but it is not essential. If a particular person is staying without AC, that particular person can survive as well. But if we talk about the inferior goods are essential of life. Inferior good क्या होता है, essential. That means हमारी life की basic requirement होते हैं. In other words, people buy inferior goods largely because these are essential of life. For example, grains, coarse cloth and etc. And the fourth and last point, in case of normal goods, there is always inverse relation between own price of the commodity and its quantity demanded. That means normal good में हमेशा inverse relation होता है price और demand के बीच में. But if we talk about the inferior good, there may be or there may not be the inverse relation between price and demand. Now we are coming to the fourth point, taste and preferences. So the taste and preferences are also an influencing factor for the demand of the commodity. Taste and preferences of the consumer are influenced by many factors. And what are those many factors? Advertisement that we used to see and read, change in fashion, climate, new invention, etc. These are the determining factors. ठीक है, डिमांड फॉर दोज गुड इंक्रीजेज, ऐसे गुड्स की डिमांड इंक्रीज होगी जिसके फेवर में कंज्यूमर का टेस्ट एंड प्रेफरेंसेस डेवलप होंगे, और ऐसे गुड्स की डिमांड डिक्रीज हो जाएगी जिसके अगेंस्ट में कंज्यूमर के टेस्ट और प्रेफरेंसेस क्या करेंगे, मूव करेंगे. नेक्स्ट, दैट इज द एक्सपेक्टेशंस, एंड इट इज़ द एक्सपेक्टेशंस रिगार्डिंग द अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ गुड्स इन द नियर फ्यूचर. इफ कंज्यूमर fears acute shortage of the commodity in the near future, he may raise his present demand for the commodity at the existing prices and vice versa. इसने क्या बताया, अगर कंज्यूमर को इस बात का डर है कि आने वाले टाइम में कमोडिटी की जो अवेलेबिलिटी है वो प्रॉपरली प्रेजेंट नहीं होगी, कमोडिटी इजीली अवेलेबल नहीं होगी, तो कंज्यूमर एग्जिस्टिंग प्राइस पे भी डिमांड क्या कर देगा, इंक्रीज कर देगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इट इज टोल्ड टू यू पीपल दैट फॉर कमिंग 2 days द पेट्रोल पंप्स विल बी क्लोज्ड. आने वाले 2 दिन में पेट्रोल पंप क्या रहेंगे, बंद रहेंगे. स्टिल वी आर नॉट नीडेड विद द पेट्रोल, बट अगेन हम लोग क्या करेंगे, पेट्रोल पंप जाएंगे और जो टैंक है वो फुल करवा देंगे. पेट्रोल के प्राइस चेंज नहीं हुए, लेकिन ये एक्सपेक्टेशन कि फ्यूचर में पता नहीं इसकी अवेलेबिलिटी प्रॉपर होगी या नहीं होगी, इसने हमें बाउंड किया कि हम क्या करें और कंज्यूम करें, एंड वाइस वर्सा. This is all about individual demand function. Now we will analyze about the second element, that is the market demand function. See, market demand function shows how market demand for a commodity is related to its various determinant. In the previous concept, we were taking the only single consumer and its determining factor. But now in the market demand function, we are taking all the consumers and their determining factor. It is the basic difference between the individual demand function and market demand function. It is expressed as, if you will see the equation very carefully, so many of the elements are repeating again. For example, market dx, that is the market demand of x commodity. F, that is a function, again it is repeating. Px, repeating price of x commodity. Pr, price of related commodity, it is repeated. Y, that is the income of consumer, repeated. T, that is the taste and preferences of the consumer, again repeated. And E, that is the expectation, that is also repeated. And the next element is N, and the last element is YD. So we are going to discuss the last 2 elements, N and YT. The second last point, that is the size of population, and it is denoted by N. Demand increases with increase in the population and decrease with the decrease in population. As simple as that. अगर population increase होगी तो demand increase होगी. क्यों? क्योंकि population increase होने का मतलब है consumer increase हो रहे हैं, and if consumer will increase, obviously demand will increase. And if the population is decreasing, obviously consumers are decreasing, and if the consumer will decrease, the demand will also decrease. So there is positive relation, increase in population, increase in demand, decrease in population, decrease in demand. And the last element, that is the distribution of income, that is denoted by YD. If there is equitable distribution, then there will be more demand. अगर इकोनॉमी में जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है इनकम का वो इक्विटेबल है तो डिमांड ज़्यादा होगी. कैसे? इन दिस कंडीशन, सॉरी, देयर विल बी, हाँ ठीक है, इन दिस कंडीशन मोर इनकम विल बी कंसनट्रेटेड फॉर द रिच पीपल. क्या होगा, जो इनकम है वो क्या हो गई, रिच पीपल तक कंसनट्रेट हो गई, एंड लार्जर सेक्टर ऑफ द सोसाइटी विल बी पुअर. जो एक बड़ा सेक्शन है सोसाइटी का वो कैसा रह जाएगा, पुअर रह जाएगा. एंड एज अ रिजल्ट, ड्यू टू लो इनकम, द डिमांड विल ऑल्सो बी लो. दिस इज ऑल अबाउट टुडे. इन टुडेज लेक्चर वी आर डन with the concept of demand function, its 2 type, individual demand function and market demand function, and the equations of individual demand function and market demand function. This is all about today. Thank you very much. God bless you all.